Sir, what do you think? Is there any impact of vaccination, and is it in any way leading to this increase of this thing? Some noise from one person, I don't know from whom. Wherever the noise is coming, if we can mute it, that would be great. We still have it from somewhere. Right, back to Professor Amitava. Professor Amitava, what's your take on this? Why
Thank
are we
you.
having so many young deaths, and are they anyway connected to whatever has happened in the last 5, 6 years?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Priti. Actually, as an epidemiologist, we see the patterns, large data patterns, which can be missed by a clinician. Because let us say, I mean, as per the vaccine from the statistics in the Senate hearings also, the serious adverse events are 1 in 800. 1 in 800 is too little for a clinician to catch. Clinician may see 800 patients, 799 no ill effects of vaccine. One he or she sees, it will be passed off as coincidental. So it's very clinician individual practice may not come across. So that perception is there that vaccines are very safe. But if you take 1 in 800 in a population like India, if you have given it to 100 crore people, you will be having the side effects, serious side effects to the tune of 10 to 20 lakhs. That's a big amount at a population level. It is
Big
something like
number.
a Russian roulette whom it will help, and it is much higher than the baseline sudden deaths. That's why we are getting much higher than the baseline sudden deaths. And another thing, all these risk factors are well known: diabetes, smoking, hypertension. They are well known, and they take almost a decade or 2 decades to have an impact. If I start smoking today, if a youth of 20 years, 18 years has started smoking, even if he or she is a heavy smoker, he wouldn't get a heart attack in 2 or 3 years within this pandemic period. He or she may get it after, I mean, the population pattern. So
Right.
here's something which is very unusual from the population pattern. And we had published a column, myself and Dr. Bhaskar Ravan from IIT Bombay. We had published a column on this sudden death in 2022, 3 years ago. Bhaskar Raman was monitoring as a data scientist the statistics and a large pattern. And I will just give the figures from that data, the salient features that since early 2021, after the rollout of the intervention, there was a six-fold increase in heart attacks in Mumbai. That is in Mumbai. Then we also examined the global patterns. England, Wales, and Australia deaths increased in 2021 and 2022, and the most market rise was among the 15 to 44 years young people. There was a 31% increase in deaths. That is quite. And in Australia data is very illustrative because Australia had hardly any COVID because they had very strict lockdown. But after the mass rollout of the vaccination, their sudden death increased by 17.2% of heart events in the young people. So had it been long COVID, they shouldn't have had, because they hardly had any COVID because of very strong. The tennis player was also not allowed to enter. So they had such strict here. So these are the very illustrative, and there were certain social circles, there some platforms, local circle. They did some rough and dirty, quick and dirty assessment. They found that 51% of respondents in Delhi, they knew more than 1 or 2 persons who had a sudden death. Even I also come across people who are just sudden death or sudden strokes and heart attack, strokes, and cancer. Out of the 62% were having 2 doses of the vaccine, 11% had single, and 8% unvaccinated. Of course, this is not a very clean study, but we require better studies. Then from the USA, insurance data and other compilation from USA, the book by Edward Dowd, Cause Unknown, Epidemic of Sudden Deaths, in 2021 and 22, it reported 84% increase in sudden death in 25 to 44 years when they were mandatory, vaccine mandates were mandatory for employment. So the working class, there was a 84% increase. This is very unusual. This cannot be attributed to the conventional risk factors which were always there. And within 2 years, it takes, there's a latent period for chronic disease. So something is very, very amiss. And for that, we could have, we boast of a digital platform. We had everyone on the COVID platform. We have got people who are vaccinated, people who have should have been continuously monitoring the adverse events in the vaccinated compared with the unvaccinated. Then only we would have got a clear picture. So I think we require further investigations. We require uh, unbiased studies, because we do not have a proper adverse events monitoring system. We don't have a advert, and we pushed it out very fast. Like we are running a super fast train with on old tracks. We don't have the tracks. We have run a train. What has happened has happened. We cannot go back in time. But this should be a
Exactly.
this should be an education for subsequent. Whenever we plan a program, first we have a good monitoring system, very good, robust reporting of any suspected adverse events, properly investigated. And now the most concerning is the in the Senate hearing about a month back, Peter McCullough, the cardiologist, leading cardiologist, he gave he cited autopsy studies where they found in the young people 74% of sudden deaths have been attributed to myocarditis caused by the vaccine, established by autopsy studies, 74%. So these are quite concerning figures. And the Covishield has been withdrawn subsequently, which was used in India. It had more adverse events on the young population. That's why it was suspended in European countries. In USA, the Covishield or AstraZeneca did not get licensed because during the trial only there were adverse events of clots. So unfortunately, we had a younger population,
Sir
and most,
Amitabha, I understand that there is a lot of data on that. My next
yeah.
question is, that has happened. What you just said, what has happened has happened. Now, today, what is your one tip for people, young people between 20 to 40 years of age group? What can they do so that, we don't lose more people the way we have been losing in the last few months and years?
Whatever they can control now, the risk factors which is within their which they can control, like they should sedentary, they should not be very sedentary, because one bad effect of the lockdowns had been that people have got a habit of doing everything from home, not only working from home. They will order food at home, they will just watch the movies on OTT, they just don't step out of the house.
Perfect. So your tip, Professor Amitava, is that become active, don't be
Yeah,
sedentary. That's the
yeah.
first thing they need to do. Dr. Anand, I understand that